if this was going to be successful, we had to be all in. Kyle left his job that felt a little bit more like a sure thing. Of course, there's no such thing as a sure thing. There was a lot of sacrifices at the beginning. We put everything that we had into this. We cashed in our 401k, we maxed out all our credit cards, and we just really gave it a go. He was so passionate about it that it was a bit infectious. That's the power of family.
On Air, brought to you by Women in Aviation International, strategic partners, Amazon and United. Welcome to On Air. I'm Kelly Murphy with Women in Aviation International, and today we visit with Katie and Willa Clark, the mother-daughter duo of BETA Technologies based in Burlington, Vermont. There's not a lot of titles at your company. You really focus on a culture of collaborative work, and you two are very ingrained in the company. So we'd love to hear about your journey.
Well, we started because BETA was, small and scrappy at the beginning, I think. There was about 8 people, about half of whom were volunteers. We fell into the volunteer category, and we did whatever needed doing. Willa was a welder at the beginning.
I cleaned a lot of airplanes.
He's cleaned a lot of airplanes.
Spent a lot of time welding things that went on the inside of things until I worked my way to the exterior.
A schlepper. You were a schlepper for a long time too. I found myself as HR and payroll, lunch duty, bathroom cleaner. I was the flight test coordinator, which was kind of a hilarious role for me. But and then as the business evolved and got more mature, we sort of fell into roles that we're better suited for. And we were able to fill in the places that where we had weaknesses, I guess.
Yeah.
But we almost immediately when we started the company, we in parallel started a flight school. So it happened. What was it? Twice a week during?
Yeah. So one of the things that we offers benefit here, a perk, is free ground school and flight trainings for all of the employees. So we have produced a lot of private pilots out of BETA, along with instrument, commercial, CFI, tailwheel, float, you name it. And a lot of CX-300 ALIA 250 pilots as well, which are the pilots that fly our electric aircraft that we're manufacturing here.
When BETA started, you were 14, right?
Yep.
And Willa and her 3 siblings are all homeschooled. And so when we started this flight school, I honestly thought, fantastic. That means I don't have to worry about math or science for her anymore. And so she couldn't drive yet, obviously. So I would schlep her and the rest of the kids, and we would go to ground school together. So Willa and I actually started ground school. Well, how old are you now? 22. So 8, is that 8 years? Yeah, good math. That's why I was looking for an alternative math program for her. No, I'm just kidding. I do not math. But she, Willa went on to get her license. And my goal was to be able to land a plane if I absolutely have to. And
she's been telling people she's on a 10-year plan for a long time. And it's coming up pretty quickly around the corner.
I can fly an airplane if I have to, but Willa is a licensed pilot, and she really, loved it right out of the gate. I mean, I'd never seen her study maybe ever, honestly, for the way that she, the way that she took to aviation. And and after her first discovery flight, she was just hooked.
That's great. Do you prefer flying over welding?
Yes. However, I still do enjoy welding.
Yeah. But she primarily works with our marketing and our outreach.
You started from zero with a couple of volunteers, and now you're nearly 1,000 employees just within 8 years. So, how did that come about?
Supposed to be a consulting job for my husband, which was going to allow our family to travel together and to spend a lot of time, seeing the country in this school bus that we had renovated into a mobile home. That was the idea. That's not what happened. Arguably, this is better.
Well, that's quite a fork in the road. Your path was from a school bus to starting a new company. How did that happen?
One opportunity kind of stacked on top of another, and we just, I mean, I don't know if Kyle would tell you that he could foresee this, but I certainly didn't. And it was, it was one opportunity and another opportunity, and then, Kyle started designing, concepts for electric aviation, for propulsion, and and the charge system, and then it grew. It it became its own thing, and then it very quickly we realized that um, we had to start bringing in all of these parts and pieces that we were outsourcing, and we had to start manufacturing them in house. We started making our own motors. We started making our own inverters. We were making our own propellers for a long time. And if we couldn't find a partner in the industry that could be agile enough or move quickly enough or produce something of high enough quality, then we started making it ourselves. And so it just happened. And then one day we woke up and there was a lot of hard work and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and long nights, and you know and a lot of really, really good people coming together, a lot of really good hardworking people that joined us, and we're aligned with the mission. And we built a manufacturing facility that Will and I are sitting in right now. And I don't know, it's pretty incredible. And and the path forward, I think, from here feels a lot more clear to me than it ever has. That we've there's plans to grow, there's plans for larger aircraft, there's plans for you know components for doubling the size of our facility. I don't know, it's all pretty exciting.
I mean, all of this feels otherworldly to me. I was just hearing what your story was because it wasn't like what you originally planned as a consultancy. And now you're really involved in this company that's pushing the edges on our next generation of aircraft. It's incredible. How have you built the kind of corporate culture to support that program?
Well, I think we're first and foremost a family business. And we had to be. It was the only way that we were going to be successful. And it's really the only way that we know how to operate. And so it's funny, when we were 40 people, everybody said this culture is so great and so beautiful. Like, how are you going to maintain it when you are 100 people? And somehow we did, and then at 200 people, at 400 people, you get asked the same questions. And certainly the culture that we have today is different than what it was when we were, 40 people. But I would argue that it's better. We're able to provide support to our team members in ways
That we weren't able to.
before. Where we used to have, every job interview was at our house, at our dining room table, and so you were really connected with people and their families, and their loved ones. And now we obviously can't do that for everybody anymore and have everyone over to the house for dinner, but we try. Um, we have things like our food program, and we have things like our health clinic. We have, and we try to support people, so that, because the expectations here are high still, but we try to take away some of the mundane things, so that when people are not here and they're super focused and they're working hard, that when they go home, they can really be, um, focused in on what's important. What besides beta brings them joy, and what they're interested in doing. We have things like, they get their tires changed here, or they can come get their hair cut here.
Tell me about your lunch program that you established.
Well, the lunch program started because of COVID. And this was at a time when you were being told to keep your circle small. And, um, and so, we were the, like, hand sanitizer police at the door, and wear your mask properly and all that stuff. And meanwhile, people were going out to lunch and all the restaurants were closed. So they were going and eating at, like, you know, garbage food from gas stations, and whatever they could get. And then they were coming back in, and I thought, oh no,
Feel like, oh my God, our circle is growing.
so I hired a chef to come in and cook local, primarily organic food in our little, like, office kitchenette, um, which, um, which was great. It was fantastic. We ate really well, and I didn't save the world from COVID, but there were other benefits that I didn't foresee that became really obvious really quickly. Um, the sense of community that, eating a meal brought to people, the collaboration, that it allowed, and the efficiency where people aren't, stopping what they're doing, leaving in the middle of the day, having, driving somewhere, coming back, just taking one more thing off of people's plates, something that you don't even have to think about. We have an amazing, amazing kitchen staff. Tim Peters, is the head of that program, and he is just so thoughtful and mindful about how he fuels our brains and our bodies every day. We are very, very careful with the ingredients that we choose. Tim sources everything hyper local. So if there's somebody that works at BETA that, has bees or taps trees or raises cattle, that's the first place that we turn, to buy those ingredients.
How is it working with your 3 siblings? What do they do at the company?
My younger brother works here, and then I have 2 younger sisters. One is 15 and 11. And Charlotte, who's 15, is just starting to intern on the video and photo team here. And Ruby bribes people here to do her math homework a lot. So she spends a lot of time here learning.
I love it. And what does your brother do?
He worked in the welding shop for a little bit now. What is he technically now? He's a engineering technician. He needs a lot of experimental parts, a lot of fabrication.
What do you see in the future? Or what does the future hold for you?
I'm super excited to see Alia's running out the door.
Thought you were going to say you were excited to fly one.
That was going to be my next question. When are you going to pilot the ALIA next?
A little bit of animosity in our household right now, because
Why would you bring this up?
I don't know, maybe I should steer away from it. But Kyle's obviously been flying them since day one. But I actually, on April 1st, I got to fly ALIA for the first time, which I think is right. Like,
but you didn't go through your pilot's license.
If I didn't have to homeschool all 4, it feels selfish to go and get my pilot's license. Like, if I'm going to do that, invest that much time and energy into reading and learning, it really does feel like I should be imparting that onto the kids. And that's why we did it together. And I think it was a success. Like, you are my success, but They it was so rad flying in the thing that we have worked so hard to put together. And I don't know, it was a weird moment of, I don't know, it's hard to describe. It was just sort of overwhelming emotions of,
Was it surreal? Like, my gosh, this is actually happening.
yeah. And I mean, BETA has brought our family so much joy and so many amazing people. It's also brought a lot of sleepless nights and anxiety. And, primarily because Kyle has been the test pilot. And, while our test program is dialed in, I was part of the test team for a very long time. So that should tell you that it was a little shaky at the beginning.
It's a lot of responsibility to have that on you, not only on the business side, but as you said, all the certification elements and raising a family. But what a unique, wonderful opportunity. I mean, this is one of a kind.
It's pretty cool. And when I did fly with Kyle, it was a formation flight to welcome home, 916 Lima Fox, who had just come back from, flying across the country. So we joined that plane with, our original aircraft and our original CTOL aircraft, and then our newest production vehicle. And we flew, in a 3-ship, and I don't know, it was pretty wild. And I'm psyched for, for Willa to be able to, I only was allowed to, maybe, I don't know if I should say this publicly.
I'm really excited to fly.
She was really excited to fly. Oh, yeah.
So, who are some of the customers that will be taking delivery?
Going to deliver to Bristow. So they're going to be testing our aircraft out there, and their pilots are going to be learning to fly it. And then we deliver to Air New Zealand.
So, tell us about the certification process now.
We're in the process of certifying pieces of our aircraft. I'm working on it every day, and we work really closely with the FAA. They spend a lot of time here. We spend a lot of time visiting them to get them educated on this new type of technology so they can learn and we can prove that it's safe and certifiable.
Okay. I understand. But it's going to be here within the year. It's either later this year or maybe early 2026.
The military is able to take pre-certified aircraft. So depending on how our certification timeline looks, I think it will be a little bit dependent on who gets the first one.
Our aircraft has been deployed down to Florida at Duke's Air Force Base for the course to fly with already, though, and that happened 2 years ago.
I'm going to switch over to Girls in Aviation Day because I know that your local chapter, specifically you, has a learning mobile classroom that you've been taking around to show the youth. What is it called?
We built a mobile simulator inside a Airstream camper van, and Willa has taken it all across the state.
Yeah, so there's 2 simulators in it where you can fly ALIA in it. There's a 180-degree sit-down sim, and then there's a VR headset that's located in it too. So you can fly with 2 students at once. That we have used at Girls in Aviation Day here. And we've also taken it as BETA to all of the technical schools in Vermont and a couple in the state of New York, and then a bunch of other local schools here and other workforce development-based events.
And I'm sure your response is amazing because there's nothing like actually seeing it, flying it, to be able to spark that interest in flying.
Yeah, and the most rewarding part about it is when students get in there and they're like, oh my gosh, I could do this. This is so cool, and fall in love with it. And at that point, they're still in a sim. So imagine the reaction when they get into an actual aircraft.
What's the next step with BETA Technologies? Are you continuing to hire?
Yeah, we're always looking for good people.
We're always looking for good people, and that we want to grow as a company, and in order to do that, our team members are going to need to grow as well.
And hopefully we can hire more women in aviation.
More women in aviation and more in-state hires, and really good people.
As we close out, do you have any advice for the young girls out there listening and learning about BETA Technologies?
My advice would be to, if you can, in any shape or form, to educate yourself and try it. What I tell people all the time is that you can't know that you like something or you enjoy something until you try it. So if you have an opportunity to try it, then you should. And at that point, you can say, "Oh, that's not really for me," and move on. Or maybe you totally fall in love with it, and that's what happened to me. I mean, Katie touched on it. I got thrown into flight school and flight training as my math and science. And I was like, "Oh, great." And at that point, I hadn't even driven a car. So they were like, "Now you're going to fly an airplane." And I was like, "Yeah, great idea, guys." Um, but I totally fell in love with it on my first discovery flight. And I know that's not accessible to all kids or students or women or whomever it is out there.
But there's programs like EAA.
Exactly. So they're try and connect with a local aviation chapter or community, women in aviation, EAA. Depends where you're on your state. Just go to your local FBO, and I'm sure there'll be a bunch of old guys and girls sitting around watching airplanes taking off and landing, and they'll probably take you for a ride.
And Katie, how about you? When you were getting involved with Kyle on this adventure, which started as a consultancy, how did you see your path expand before you in aviation?
Yeah, I absolutely did not see myself working in aviation. I had actually not been in an airplane since the 6th grade before BETA, um, which uh, which was odd to go. My very next experience was with the yoke in my hand. So, um, it, but it it took a minute for me to embrace the aviation piece, but I would say that BETA is so much more than an aerospace company, and it's really the culture here and the way that we do business and the way that we treat one another and the way that we I don't know are able to come together as a community to do something that feels important and inspiring and has changed my life and has been opened so many doors for us and for our family and for our kids.
Well, it's fascinating that your husband starts as a consulting company. You're obviously busy raising 4 children. And then before you know it, it just becomes kind of an immediate family business. And 8 years later, you have this incredible career leading the next generation of aircraft. It's really fascinating. And I'm sure you're thrilled about it.
Thrilled about it. And I think that that's the power of family. And if it was clear that if this was going to be successful, we had to be all in. And we had to, there was a lot of sacrifices at the beginning. I mean, we put everything that we had into this. Kyle left his job that felt a little bit more like a sure thing. Of course, there's no such thing as a sure thing, but with this and the stability, and we cashed in our 401k, we maxed out all our credit cards, and we just really gave it a go. And he was so passionate about it that it was a bit infectious, I think, for the rest of us. And I think that there was buy-in from the whole team.
Yep.
And so, when Ruby was little and we were piecing together our first aircraft, her arms are really little compared to the rest of ours. She was what, 4? And so, she could fit her little hands in spaces where, grown-ups couldn't. And so we had her running wires. And she would show up on an engineer's shoulders, and they would, get her up inside the boom, and she'd be snaking things through.
She learned her colors.
So I don't know, and it really fostered a passion and a love for this in all of us. I think just because we were able to do it together.
I love that. And like you said, it's the power of family.
Oh,
Katie and Willa Clark, thank you for joining us today for On Air. We look forward to seeing what your company's plans are in the future, and good luck.